everybody. Welcome to our webinar that's called Tips and Tricks, Nurturing Your Voice During the Pandemic. And the idea for this came about because, as we heard from choir members and church singers, chanters and choir members who were noticing that the longer they were excluded from being able to sing in the services, the more that they noticed that something not so good was happening with their voices because they weren't singing. And that led to us saying, well, what if we put together some ideas of what we could do while we're home to just keep those vocal cords in shape and enable us to, remember that we're singers and we can still sing at home and we can do some good for our voices. So we invited 10 vocal professionals in our Greek Orthodox Archdiocese to pick a tip and to share with you, and spend about 5 minutes giving you some good ideas, and then you can use the ones that you'd like to try while you're at home, and hopefully that'll be a little bit of help towards as you wait for the time to return to singing in the services. So for our first presenter, we have with us Dr. Nicholas Marigas, and he is actually a choir director at Holy Anariri in Rochester, Minnesota, but he's also professionally an ear, nose, and throat physician, and has some information for us from a medical perspective. So Nick's topic is vocal recovery after inactivity, the tortoise principle. Nick.
Thank you, Vicki. Good afternoon, everybody. Not used to giving lectures online. However, I'll pretend that you're in my office with me, all 200 of you. So I'm kind of the warm-up for this whole webinar. And so what you'll hear from me is some general topics for keeping your voice going in times of disuse. And that's what we're talking about essentially, is because a lot of us, most of us maybe, have been told that we can't do what we usually do with our voices, in other words, sing, for the last 6 months or so. So what happens is that singing, as we all know, is an athletic event, and the muscles of the vocal folds and the larynx that produce the sounds for us, if you don't use them, you will lose them, like some other things that we don't need to get into today. But with the voice, you have to keep on using your voice, even if just a little bit. So, and the other thing that happens is that not only do the vocal folds weaken and the muscles weaken, but in a lot of ways, we forget how to use our voice and how to sing properly. And you'll hear the rest of the people in our group today, all experts in their fields, go into that for you. So what do we need to do? My one point for you, if you will, about getting back to using your voice once you have to start up again, is the parable of the story about the tortoise and the hare. You have to be the tortoise. You have to start and keep on going very slowly to build yourself back up. Again, if you know anybody who runs a lot and trains for marathons, they don't do a marathon the first time out. You can't run a 100-yard dash or a 100-meter dash, for those of you that are coming to us from England. You can't do that the first time out. So you have to start slowly, and you have to keep yourself healthy in order to do that. Building up the muscles takes time. It's not going to happen to you. It's not going to happen for you very quickly. It takes some time to do it. And by time, I've continued to sing as a chanter in my church during this whole time period. And I'll tell you, if I have 1 week off during the summer, the second week when I get back, the voice is not the same. So treat yourself well, keep yourself healthy, get lots of rest, and drink lots of fluids. We used to have a saying, and actually we still do, if you sing wet, you will be peeing pale. And that's a good one. So just remember that you have to drink probably upwards of 8 quarts a day. We're talking 64 ounces of fluid. That's a lot. You'll probably think that you're going to float away, but you won't. When I was asked to first give this talk, somebody asked a question of what can you do at home? And my first answer was, well, you can take more showers. And what I meant was not only that we needed to keep ourselves clean, but we also need to hum or sing in the shower with a lot of fluid around. How to rebuild the voice after a layoff is a big problem, but again, we go slowly and we work our way back to what we used to do before. It'll come. For those of us that are chanters and priests that may be listening in today, using your microphone in a better way is always a good way to start out, because bring it closer to you when you are chanting or singing, because that will actually help you quite a bit. That was my note that was in the way of my camera. I think that's it, Vicki. I'll leave you with that. Go slowly and everything will be fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. Now we're going to go on to the next tip, which is a presentation by Adriana Colindrianos, who's a music educator, and she is the choir director at St. Barbara's Church in Santa Barbara, California. And a nice segue from Dr. Marigas is the title of her presentation is Moving. Adriana.
Go. Do you have me on?
Yes, you're on, Adriana.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not on the main, on the center. I'm still seeing your name here. So is that
do speaker view?
I think I am. I am on speaker view. Okay. So can you see me in the middle?
You're good, Adriana. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. All right. So absolutely, we function. The human voice functions like a wind instrument. So we have a reed. It's the vocal cord. The bell, which is the mouth, and the body. And we have to, particularly after a long, extended period of time, as Dr. Nick says, we need to make sure that we wake up our body and start using it again, because that's where our power is, in the abs and allowing our breath to really function well. So we need to, first of all, exercise. And we can exercise specifically for the voice. Or you can do, I'm stepping back a little bit here so maybe you can see me. You can do, if probably most people are sitting down, but you can do the, you bend your knees, the old Groucho Marx walk, where you walk, back and forward like this. And you can also spread out your arms like so. It's impossible to raise your shoulders to breathe. And you'll feel immediately that your abs kick in and your stomach expands and you're really filling up your lungs. And you can swing your arms and walk about and sing at the same time. So this is really important to engage because you don't want to have to worry. You're probably a little rusty on your breath support, and so that you just allow the body with these exercises to actually take care of your breathing for you, and it just becomes absolutely natural. Your waist will expand, your ribs will open, and it will be much easier for you to do to warm up, which is what the next thing you would want to do. But first, you have to find your resonators. So I'm sure that most people know who Julia Child is. She's a very, very famous chef. And so she would always say, "Bon appetit, this is Julia Child." And so when you do that, immediately you feel the resonance in your face, particularly in the pharynx, the nasopharynx area and the oropharynx area. And this is really important to wake that up, because when you sing, you really don't want to feel anything. Now, I'm a little hoarse because I have a sinus issue right now, but normally you don't feel anything on your vocal cords when you don't have the same nerve endings that you have elsewhere where you would feel pain. So there is no pain in singing, and when it's right, you feel nothing, but you do, as far as the pain concerned, but you do feel the air flowing. You feel the voice traveling. So you're going to, I wanted to just tell you one more while you're sitting down, everyone. You can sit in a chair, sit down, but don't sit all the way back. Pull yourself forward a little bit, and then lift up your feet. I used to do this often with my choir during rehearsals because it was easier for them to warm up and get and engage, again, the abs and the muscle and get the expansion that they need. So, so that's it, and easy, very easy to do. So you can do all of this. So you do simple vocalizes, just, you know, just really, really easy, something like that to get going, or just a scale without any consonants. You want to have a mirror. It's one of the most important tools for a singer, starting out or refreshing as well. The mirror is going to show you some things. First of all, because we have a bell, but we unfortunately don't have a bell that is manufactured in a factory, which is why all the clarinets sound exactly the same, and they don't have any trouble blending. They just have to get all the right notes. So you want to be able to feel and look at the mirror to see, because you have to develop. Now this is an opportunity actually for all of us to really develop new habits and by looking in the mirror, so that ultimately when you go back to church and sing in the choir, you've already created this new habit. So your mouth, which is your bell, okay, needs to be a little round. Now that's, you know, almost impossible, okay, for us. But you need to, if you can put your fingers right here between your upper and your lower teeth, and you could use your jaw to rest use your palm of your hand to rest your jaw on your palm, and then feel what happens. Well, you can also do it just by putting your fingers here between the upper and lower teeth in your cheeks, and the jaw will drop. And it's where it should be, because if the jaw juts forward, it's going to affect where the tongue goes, and it will also be tight in the back of your throat. And you don't want to feel that tension. You want to feel energy, you want to feel no pain, but you do not want the tension from that. And it's going to impact where your tone is going. So so you can do this, hold that there, just go blah, okay, or just think that. And there's one other thing, so that you don't go flat, when you don't sing flat, is to look in the mirror and think about a secret smile or a surprise. And that's going to lift up your palate, your soft palate, and open up the nasopharynx area, so that you'll really have, your intonation will improve, because you'll get the harmonics, the overtones that you need for the lower pitches as well, so that it's perfectly in tune. The jaw is always back, always down and a little bit back. And the tongue, if you can see my hand here, okay, so these are the lower teeth, all right? And if you just let your tongue rest here, just with a little bit of a curve, because if you pull it back, and you let your tongue go back, it's going to swallow. It's going to feel like you're muddy, and it's not free to move forward. I remember Placido Domingo talking about this, that he had, when he looked at a video of himself many years ago, and he thought, what's my tongue doing? And that the tongue is important. The tongue and the jaw are so intricately connected in this way that you want it to relax forward, and it helps the jaw to stay down and back, and the voice to travel forward. Because you're thinking, where is that tone going? The tone is always going forward. It's not up, not down. You know, basses, altos, you don't look down to see those low notes. That's not where they are. They're here because you need to wake up all of your resonators in your face, in your head, and sometimes in the neck if you're chest, if you're a lower a lower singer. But I think that keeping that idea of everything being forward out there, have a spot on the wall, a dot on the wall, where that's where you're sending the voice, and it will be easier. It's not in your throat, even with consonants. There are consonants in Greek, particularly, the Z, which is way back in the throat. Well, keep it forward and think of it as being maybe in the middle of the mouth, right about here, rather than in the back of the throat, because that has a tendency to pull the vowels and the tone back in your throat, and you don't want that. You're always going forward, and the voice is always riding on a magic carpet. It's just flowing forward in that way. Now, the consonants can get in the way. So if you think about the tip of the tongue and the middle of the lips, most of the consonants, or many of the consonants, will be here. The t, the n in the middle of the mouth. And your mouth should be somewhat round. It's not going to be, we're not all manufactured in a factory, so it's not going to be, obviously not the same. But if you look in the mirror and watch yourself, and watch to make sure you're not singing an E like this, because that's creates an awful lot of tension. E, it's a little different. It opens it up, it opens your throat, and it's much easier. There is no pain in singing. And so you're always looking and paying attention to how does it feel? Where am I feeling it? Where is the voice? Where is my breath? How is that going? And you can always bend your knees. You can walk around, you use a big mirror on the wall, and you can go and move all over the place. So you keep moving, and that will help you to really create an easy sound, an easy production. The jaw and the tongue are always relaxed. The one vowel in Greek that's really difficult is the eh, and it tends to be unfocused. So it's kind of like, you think about a megaphone that's the opening is very small, and then it expands out this way so that it amplifies. Well, think about the eh as being narrower, and think of an E but sing an eh. So it's not eh, where all this air is escaping, before it even hits the 1 inch in front of you. So it's just forward in that direction, and then it'll reach out a little further. Continuous phonation of vowels is really important. They're always traveling, passing through the consonants, the tip of the tongue, the middle of the lips. That's where you're going with your consonants. And you focus the tone forward, spot on the wall maybe, let it flow, travel towards that wall, that dot on the wall. Think about a megaphone, again, that you're really starting with a very focused sound. Look in the mirror, make sure you can see. Well, you'll see it before you'll hear it or understand it, that where the voice is going, what's the shape of the vowel. We're not manufactured like the bell of the clarinet or any other wind instrument. So we have our whatever structure we have to check the mirror to see where are we. And at the same time, you can bend your knees to keep your breath in there. You don't have to worry about it. Swing your arms out, do all of this while you're at home. Nobody's around, no one's looking at you. Just enjoy the process and don't listen. Feel where it is, feel the resonance, because there really isn't a lot that unless you have a sore throat, you're probably not going to feel much in your vocal cords. Or if you're straining, you will feel a discomfort. And that's what you don't want. So the jaw is back, it's dropped, The tone is always going forward to that dot on the wall. Reminder that you are part of an ensemble, that when we sing together, we have to listen and blend our voices so that we don't, so that we work our voices together. And we can do that by doing all of these exercises. So the beauty is the goal for the sound so that the words take top priority. I think that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Andriana, for all of that. Moving along, next we have Kirsten Shaw, and Kirsten is the choir director at St. John the Baptist Church in Euless, Texas, and she has her degree in vocal performance, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about how we build breath control and how to keep consistent and connected. Kirsten.
Thank you, Vicki. I will say it is very possible in the course of me speaking that there's some announcements. I'm at school right now, and some announcements might come on. If that happens, I'll mute myself for a moment. But as Vicki said, my name is Kirsten Shaw, and as the slide showed today, I'm going to be speaking about breath, specifically finding your control, your consistency and connection. I will say that several of the points made in the last presentation, I am also saying, so I guess it just reinforces that they're definitely important. So as we all know, our voices are in fact wind instruments, so proper breath and breath usage is vital to aspects of good voice production, healthy supported singing, and then also beauty of tone quality, as well as other things. So the specific tip that I'm going to offer today, and using your voice when you're not able to really sing other places right now, is the use of lip trills. Now, some people might think they're a little bit of dreaded lip trills, but they are in fact extremely beneficial and worthwhile. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about them anyway, even though they look a little funny and they can feel a little funny, but the benefits greatly outweigh that. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about it anyway. So first of all, if you're not familiar with the term, when we're talking about lip trills, what I'm talking about is, so it's make my lips vibrate. It's sort of like bubbling your lips, or maybe if you were trying to make a motorboat sound or something like that. I'm sure some of you are familiar with this already, and for others, this might be something new. But if they are new, and they do take a little bit of practice to be able to develop and to be able to do them consistently, but that's okay. They are worth taking the practice and taking the time to get better at them. And one of the reasons I like them is because they really kind of cover a multitude of things. So it actually takes more air to make your lips trill like that than it does to sing. So if you can master that, if you sing something with the trill and then actually put either vowels or text or whatever it is that you're doing to that same passage, if you've done it with the trills, it will suddenly feel almost effortless because you have your breath spinning. We always want to sing on the breath. You heard that in the last. We always want to sing on the breath, and we want to keep our breath spinning. So lip trills are a great way of trying to really enhances that and facilitates that. So if you're able to master that, and then you go to sing with the words after that, everything's lined up where it needs to be. The other thing that's really nice about it is really you can practice them anywhere. You could be in your car, you could be, just at home. You don't have to have a piano to do it. You can use it with songs that you already know. You could do it with just random scales, or just even just kind of anything like that. As you're building up your endurance, I guess you could say, and your ability to keep that consistent sound going. It also really helps with placement, because when you're doing them, you're taking the weight out of the voice. So it really lines things up, and you want, as again was said in the last slide, but you want that trajectory, and you want focus of your sound and focus of your breath. So it's not keeping it here. You're always aiming in front of you, and you want to find a spot to have that trajectory of sound so that you know where your voice is headed and where your breath is headed. Sorry, I hope that there's not more, but it's possible. I'll just mute briefly if that happens. So you always want to find that trajectory of sound, and you know, that's part of the reason why how we hear ourselves is not how others hear us. So that's why if you hear a recording of yourself, you think that doesn't sound like me, because we hear ourselves differently. But so we don't want to be in the habit of singing to what we think sounds good in our own head or in our own ears, because the sound that the others are hearing out in the space in front of us will be different. So you want to find that trajectory of sound and know where your voice is headed, as well as your breath. And so this really helps with that as well, because it gets your breath spinning. I tell my students often, you know, if you think of your voice as maybe like an inner tube or something floating on a river, and your air is the water below it. And if that breath is not flowing, if that water is not flowing well, that inner tube is going to be a bumpy ride. It's not going to flow smoothly down the river. But if you have enough air going to carry your sound and sing on the breath, then that makes a huge difference in your sound. So to begin to do a lip trill, you're going to take a nice low, deep breath, which I'm not going to get into all of that. I believe someone else is going to speak about that. But then as you exhale and begin to use your breath and activate your breath, you're trying to find the focus of the air in a way that enables you to support the trill. Now the thing is, you might have plenty of air, but if you don't have the focus to it, your lips will stop trilling and they won't work. So it's not only about having enough air, it's also about finding the focus to it in order and then maintaining it consistently in order to keep the trill going. So you can start with just you can do it on one note, you could do it on, and really that's what you do is going to depend on how naturally it comes to you. Some people are able to do it very easily. Some people it takes a little more practice, and that's just normal. I will say, as you're doing it, you do want your lips should be protruded a little bit, not overly, but you are, once again, is that megaphone. So thinking about keeping things forward, it's not back here. You're thinking to keep your sound going forward. It's also about finding that balance. So if your lips are too relaxed and all your air comes out, that you're not going to be able to maintain that consistency and focus. Sorry about that. If your lips are too tight, then you also will not be able to do it. So it needs to be relaxed. Your lips should not be pursed. It should just be an easy feel. And also, let's see. As you're doing it, and it's funny, we have many similar examples that I was going to use as well. So I also like the feeling of a surprise, a good surprise. A bad surprise makes you kind of retreat, but in a good surprise, where it lifts everything, you're opening your mask and your resonators and feeling like everything is open, because even though we're doing it with trills, you really want the same feeling as if you're actually singing with text or with vowels. So you want that same feeling, and then when you go to sing or put words to it, you're not going to change anything because things have gotten lined up so well by using the trill. You're just going to put your voice through that same space. So you're going to take a nice low breath, feel that openness. Your teeth should be slightly separated. Let's see. And then you'll begin with the trill. And once again, it depends on how comfortable you are with it, but it's an excellent warm-up. I do them all the time, actually. I'll sometimes sing entire pieces on it, just because it gets your breath flowing so well. It can also be good for maybe for working a passage in an interval and you can't quite get it lined up the way you want it to. If you use a trill to go over that passage or go over that interval, it helps you to keep your focus and your placement, and it'll be much easier to sing after that. So after you've mastered that, and as I said, it does definitely take practice, and it does take time to build your endurance and your consistency. But I promise you, it's well worth your time. So after you've done that, what you're really trying to do is get to the point where you can sing in addition to scales and things like that as part of your vocal warm-up, but also be able to put it to music. And so one of the reasons I chose this now is, like I said, you all have hymns in your head or songs in your head, things that you know, and you can apply this to those things now, whether you have a piano or not. The one thing I'll caution you, as I said, once you do the lip trills on a melody or whatever it is you're singing, when you then put your voice to it, be very, sorry. Sorry about that. I really apologize. I just can't control it. So when you go back to and stop doing the trill and then go to put your actual voice to it and sing, be careful not to fall back on muscle memory of the way maybe you had done it previously. There is a lot of muscle memory involved with singing. And if you have previously done it maybe in not the best way, and then you've done lip trills and sung the same thing using the lip trills, when you go to put your text to it, keep that same vein. You want to keep it in the same vein of the way that you just did it with the lip trills, and not revert back to what you maybe had done in the past where it wasn't as well placed. I feel like often we tend to sing kind of from here and just straight out. You want that space carried through, and the focus and the openness. So and as I said, the lip trills really help with that. So after you've done that, if you typically sing more down here without the space and without the resonance, be careful that you don't revert back to that. So talked about spinning, it really keeps your breath spinning. I guess just as a quick example of something of a hymn, because it's Elevation of the Cross today. So I'm just going to do a quick demonstration with part of Sosonkirya, because it's the feast, the hymn for today. So if I were to do it on, I won't do the whole thing, just a small portion, but do it on lip trills. Always thinking forward, and then I can go ahead and put my voice to that. Sosonkirya ton ansu, kevloi sontin klironomi ansu. And you can do the same thing. You can do it by passages, phrases at a time, and then after you do it with the trill, and then turn around and do it with your voice, and really get those things lined up. But I promise you, they're worth your effort in trying to build your consistency and your endurance with lip trill. So that's all. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Kristen. Lots of good ideas there, and we'll be trilling away the days. Hopefully not too many more before we can go back. Next, we have with us Joanne Camboris, who also has her degree in music education, and she's the choir director from Holy Trinity Church in Clearwater, Florida. And she's going to continue some information, giving us information on breath. Her topic is breath as fuel for the voice.
All right, can you all hear me? Can you see me? Let me go ahead. I'm going to get my video started. There we go. All right. I hope everyone can see me and hear me. Again, I have the same dilemma as Kirsten. I am at school, so I will try very hard to mute myself if we happen to have an overhead announcement. I will be brief. I will be speaking to you today about breath as fuel for the voice. Have you ever been in a car, maybe in the younger days, and discovered that you had forgotten to put your car or put gas in your car, and you discovered too late, and all of a sudden your car is sputtering to a halt? Well, we don't like that happening in the car, and we certainly don't like that happening with our voices as well. When we sing a beautiful long passage, and so many of our wonderful colleagues today will be talking to you about breathing and breathing through a phrase. And, you know, when you take a nice, deep, low breath, you want to be able to maintain that beautiful phrase or sing a nice long note without feeling that you're running out of gas at the end. And I know that many of us, and it's happened to me many times, I didn't breathe enough and taken in a deep enough breath. So this exercise is going to help you a little bit with that, I'm hoping. I noticed that once I get my choir back after summertime, or if I get my children's choir back, we have to be reminded on what a singer's breath looks like and feels like. So what I'd like to do right now is actually illustrate to you using a standing position. So I'm going to ask George or Vicky to pop in and make sure I can be seen my entire physical body here. Okay, I know I'm standing a little bit far away. This is just for a few seconds. The proper posture for this exercise is with your feet flat on the floor, and I will try to illustrate that for you. Okay, and not only your feet flat on the floor, but your feet shoulder width apart. That's very important for stability on a riser or stability even in a choir loft or on the floor. Your feet being shoulder width apart will anchor your body comfortably. If you have people in your choir that are elderly and they maybe find it difficult to stand for a long time, sitting in a chair with your back away from the chair, similar to this, okay, this type of a posture is good as well. So if you have people that are not comfortable standing, feet flat on the floor, and your back away from the chair. So my students normally are standing. So what I would ask you to do then is have your hand placed on your middle, and what the children or what the choir members will watch you do is take in a nice, long, deep breath. And again, posture, shoulders are relaxed, your chin is straight, your spine is elongated, your hand is here. As you take in this long breath, and I'm going to come a little closer so you can see my stomach, you're going to take in a breath for 4 seconds without any sound. So your teeth are parted and you're breathing in. And if you're watching my hand, you'll see that my hand is actually moving out, okay? That's what a long breath looks like. It's very important that you tell the children or your choir members that you don't want moving shoulders. You want parted teeth. You want that breath to come very, very low to the point where their hand will be moving. And then as you are exhaling, you're going to ask them to hiss. And what happens is you inhale 4 seconds, no sound, and then hiss. So there's 4 seconds in and 4 seconds out on a hiss. And you'll notice what I did was I closed my hand. And this exercise not only helps you with breathing, but it also helps them learn to watch a conductor as well. So we're going to try that now. I'm pretending like I'm standing. What you're going to do is breathe with me. We're going to breathe in for 4 seconds, totally silently, and hiss out for 4. Ready? Here we go. Breathe. Hiss. Cutting off on the 5th beat. Okay? Second part of the exercise, I want you to breathe in the same amount of time, and I want you to hiss out for 8 seconds. So you're going to have to use more of your breath, and you're going to have to cheat it just a little bit as it's coming out, because you have to be able to maintain that hiss for 8 seconds. So here we go. 4 in, 8 seconds out, and breathe. Cutting off on the 9th beat, right? Similarly, you're going to cut off now. You're going to go to 16 beats. So we're doubling every time. So as you're doubling, you're having them to be able to control that breath coming out. It's a very deep breath. You're contracting your muscles around that column of air and controlling, like focusing, like Kirsten and Adriana were telling us. And you have to make sure that you are able to maintain that 16 seconds. So let's try it. Ready? And in. Cutting off on the 17th beat. Okay, so we had 16 seconds. And of course, the kids are, you know, not really understanding at the beginning, or the adults even are not understanding at the beginning, that you do have to control the flow of air in order for you to be able to maintain that flow of air and that amount of time. And then of course, once they're able to do 16 seconds, then you take them to 32. So you don't get any more time to breathe. You just get your 4 seconds. So here we go, and you're going to cheat the air coming out. One breath. There is not allowed. You're not allowed to take any catch breaths. That's cheating. So here we go. 4 in, 32 seconds out. Are you able to do it? Let's try it. Ready? And breathe in. Cutting off on the 33rd beat. So hopefully you can get that and get them to work towards that 32 seconds. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's about controlling the flow of air, one breath. And if you're able to work up to that, they will be able to maintain those beautiful long passages. So I hope that was helpful for you. And thank you, everybody. And happily, we didn't have any announcements. I hope everyone's well. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Lots of good things for us to practice. All right, next we have Anne-Marie Kukios, who is on the faculty at Wayne State University and does a lot of choral conducting in and around Ann Arbor, Michigan, and the Detroit area. And she's going to have us think about how we learn to listen to our voice.
She has stopped. I don't see my video on. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right. Good afternoon. I am so delighted and honored to be here with this illustrious group of vocal, choral, and of course, medical professionals. My full topic is actually Keep Your Musicianship Alive During Quarantine by Demystifying Your Microphone. Since we've entered this time of quarantine, I've been involved in the production of virtual ensembles, choral, small vocal ensembles, handbell choirs, and small instrumental groups, as have others. I've been working with my husband, Evans, who is a professional photographer and videographer. It has been a major plus having both a videographer and choral specialists in the same house for the most part. I began this venture by modeling what I expected others to do by putting together a virtual rendering of a piece by Cynthia Dobrinsky for handbells in 14 parts, all played by myself. It turned out rather well, as I intrinsically knew what the other 13 performers were feeling and expressing, particularly in terms of musical nuance, but that is a separate discussion. We then moved on to choral projects. The new need to utilize technology in continuing our craft can be fairly daunting. But as one evolves in this new format, interesting benefits reveal themselves, triggering creative applications. First, let's look at virtual choirs. What one is concerned with that is the product. You need to think about the equipment and devices needed to participate, how to implement, position, and utilize the equipment, how to record, how to position your music, distance of microphone, good lighting, et cetera, and preparing your music. Aha. As we consider individual musical preparation, we now turn to the need for rehearsals, coachings, and individual practice. Virtual choir rehearsals can be done even in Zoom circumstances. I am doing rehearsals and coaching online with all of my groups, as well as teaching 4 levels of ear training and sight singing via Zoom. I know Pam Kramer will be talking about the Zoom rehearsals as well. But what is really interesting is how this participation generates a real musical thirst for the individual singer to further develop and grow on their own, now shifting our focus from product to process. We all have a rich collection of choir members, some of whom will readily sing alone and with assurance and lead others, and some who feel the need to follow others in a manner which sometimes can be unintentionally desensitization of their listening. Learning to listen to yourself critically as a singer is important, as is learning to audiate your sound, which is a process of producing the sound internally before actual phonation or singing. Singing alone is, of course, the first step. Listening to yourself is next. In a virtual choir, each singer begins to work with their own recordings. The immediate improvement I have found is amazing as they listen and re-record successively. Singers are now empowered to develop their sound quality. One must now listen even more than they have in previous in-person choral rehearsals. Theoretically, we should all observe a marked improvement in our choirs after this period of quarantine if we've intentionally implemented the technology for greater oral sensitivity and vocal musical growth. Well, you don't have to be in a virtual choir to experience this. That's the good news. All of us have cell phones with pretty good recording ability these days. Singing anything alone and recording it is the beginning. Sing something you love, a hymn of the church, a popular tune, even one of the marvelous vocalizations you're learning of today. I'd like you now, those of you that can and have it available, is to take your phone and turn on your video recording settings. Keep your Zoom mic on mute, but keep your phone recorder on for the next few minutes. You're going to record yourself, but no one else will hear you, I promise. So let's just sing a basic scale with solfege, do, re, mi, fa, so. See if I can shift to singing here. Do, sing with me. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. You can also consider the Byzantine syllables, mi, pa, vu, ka, vi, ke, zo, ni, etc. Keep recording, let's do something very simple, like a threefold Kyrie eleison. Kyrie eleison. Ready? Let's do it together. And Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison. Add your own style, flourish, and interpretation. Enjoy it. Let's try Soson Kyrie. Soson Kyrie ton laon su, etc. I wish I had more time. It also would be good to add to your recording a recording of something that's a more extensive melodic example, as in the beginning of an enite or a cheruvico. So now please turn off your recordings. Don't listen to them yet. Later, go back and listen. You will probably not like your sound at first. That is normal, as Kristen referred to. But listen for pitch accuracy. Did intervals compress on your scale? Listen for musical joy on an enite, or an expressive, beautiful legato line on a cheruvico melody. Listen, observe, practice, improve, and re-record. The possibilities here are now endless. Video use for singing posture, vowel shapes, and all that as well, and so on and so on. As conductors, we can guide this path by providing objectives for personal practice and detailing what to listen for, one element at a time. Vowels, articulations, style, etc. Expressivity. And the beauty of singing alone while feeling an awareness of remembrance of the singers previously around us in unified choral expression is an uplifting, powerful concept. We want to constantly remind our singers of this as they go forward in this medium. We can even suggest a hymn of the week to practice, further bringing singers together conceptually in virtual, spiritual, musical unity. Encouragement of partnerings and discussions amongst individual choir members regarding their practice further preserves our choral connectedness, enthusiasm, and treasured fellowship. Finally, The empowerment of our volunteer choral singers to sing freely and record themselves as we attune our ears more deliberately into this process becomes a wonderful, non-threatening, enjoyable experience, as it is our own ears, and think about that. It is truly our own ears which principally, before any choral experience, brought us to the love of music. Indeed, brought us to the love of singing. Thank you. This has just been a pleasure.
Thanks, Anne Marie. All right, we're moving along. Here's something to think about. Here's something that Chrysanthi Therianos is bringing us to think about. Chrysanthi is a music educator. She's also one of the 3 members of the Icona chanting group. And she wants you to think about singing with the saints. I'm okay.
Hi, Vicki. I can't see anything.
You can go, Chrysanthi.
Okay, I can't see anything at all. So, okay, well, good afternoon.
Shan.
Hello?
You're okay, Chrysanthi. We can see you and hear you.
Okay, great. Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm talking about singing with the saints. And so not only can we nurture our voices, but we can also nurture our souls at the same time. So I want to encourage everyone to incorporate singing into your daily prayer life by singing the hymns of the great feast and the saints of our beautiful Orthodox church. And there's a bonus that if you do that, you will also be improving your sight singing skills as well. So today is the Feast of the Holy Cross. So we sing the great feast for the 8 days before the leave taking. So you can actually sing your Soswan Kyrie that I've heard beautifully done today, or save, O Lord, your people and bless your inheritance. So you can sing this every day in your prayer life for the next 8 days, and you can sing it around the table with yourself, with your kids, with your grandchildren, so that we incorporate the lives of the saints and the great feasts every day into our prayer life. So, where to find the lives of the saints and how do we find the hymns to sing daily? There's 2 resources online. The first one is the Archdiocese website, and that is at goarch.org. And on the front page there, you will see the saint or the feast of the day, and you can click on one of the lines there, and it will bring you to the life of the saint. And at the end, it will show you the apolitikion or the kondakion, or both, of the saint or the feast. There's also the Archdiocese app, which is called the Daily Readings. And this is an excellent source that you can just have on your phone, on your iPad, on your computer, and you can read the life of the saint. And then you also at the end can read the kondakion and the apolitikion, and then you're able to chant that. So you have the resources of learning about the saints of the day, but where do we find the music for the saints? The first thing I want to show you is, and I don't see myself at all on the screen, so I'm hoping you can see this okay. It's called the Great Orologion. I'll just make sure that you can see it since I can't see myself at all. And this is from Holy Transfiguration Monastery. And it's a beautiful resource. You can buy it on Amazon, or you can go to Holy Transfiguration. And it is a beautiful resource that I keep on my iconostasis. I open it up to the day that we are celebrating. So today is September 14th. It gives a beautiful long life of the saint, a beautiful description. And it also has the apolitikion that you can chant. So George, if you could please go to the screen sharing, singing with the saints. One of the ways that you can find the saint for the day is that you can go to music.santanthonysmonastery.org, and you'll see the Divine Music Project. You'll see on there, it's the Meneon. So you click on the Meneon, and you'll see the months of the year. Next slide, please. Then it will show you the days of the month. So we're going to go to St. Nikitas, September 15th, tomorrow. Next slide, please. And voila, you have this beautiful music that you can chant for the day of the saint or the great feast. So this one is for the Holy Martyr Nikitas. You'll find a beautiful icon, and it goes like this. Thy martyr, O Lord, in his courageous contest for thee, received as the prize the crowns of incorruption and life from thee, our immortal God. And it goes on. And you can go to the last slide. Again, here is the website to find this beautiful music. And you can come back to me, George. Thank you. So that's one way that we can incorporate singing. I love how each of the beautiful presenters today have offered these things, but to actually sing every day is a beautiful, beautiful blessing. And then we can incorporate it with our prayer life and nurture not only our voices, but our souls as well. You will find that many of these hymns are repeated. So thy martyr, O Lord, is if there's one martyr in his courageous, in her courageous, or it could be thy martyrs, O Lord. And so there's a lot of beautiful ways that we keep remembering the beautiful saints. Lastly, it would be great if we all from our hearts at any moment could just sing these beautiful hymns of the saints of our beautiful Orthodox Church. So for instance, if you learn the hymn of St. Nicholas, which we all would love to know his Apolitikion, the truth of things hath revealed thee to thy flock as a rule of faith, an icon of meekness and a teacher of temperance. For this cause thou hast achieved the height by humility, riches by poverty. O Father and Hierarch Nicholas, intercede with Christ God, that our souls be saved. And then if you go to January, you'll also find that's for the Hierarch Sylvester. So you would just sing the exact same hymn, but at the very end you'd sing riches by poverty. O Father and Hierarch Sylvester, intercede with Christ God, that our souls be saved. So I pray that you take the saints and you sing with the saints, and that we don't only nurture our voices, but we're also nurturing our souls as well. God bless. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Chrysanthi. Next, we're going to hear from Evie Simon, who has her degrees in choral conducting, and she serves as the director of music at the Archdiocesan Cathedral in New York City. And the title of her talk is Watch Your AEIOUs.
There I am. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to find this there. That's what I want. Nope. Oh my gosh.
Evie, we can see you just fine.
I can't see anything. Okay. All right. Well, okay. This is crazy because I'm looking at a dark screen. So good afternoon, everybody. It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. My talk today is about vowels, and everything you've heard today, the breath control, the singing on the breath, all leads perfectly into my talk. So thank you. Vowels, of course, are the sounds that we sing on, and we need the breath to be able to carry them through. We often sing in Greek or in English, but singing in Greek, the vowels are a lot easier because they don't have quite as many options as we have in English. And what I'd like to offer, a little tip, the tip that I'd like to offer is when you're singing a hymn and you want to practice yourself, or you want to just sort of get back into it, is that you sing the hymn only on the vowels, that you don't put the consonants in, that you start off only with the vowels. So since it's the Holy Cross today, we are going to sing Soson Kyrie, but sing it only on the vowels. So it'll sound something like this. So instead of Soson Kyrie ton lavon su, you're going to sing only the vowels. Will you do that with me, please? Ready? And now, what you may have noticed is that I stood up nice, or sat up nice and tall, took a nice deep breath, and that the vowels didn't change a whole lot. So try it one more time. Try not to breathe through that whole little section. So you're not gonna breathe every couple of notes. Ready? Take a deep breath and now go back and add the consonants. Now keep the breath going. Take that nice deep breath and just add a little tiny bit of the consonants. Ready? And so, son, kyrie, ton, lavon, su. There you go. Now that's something you could do at home with or in the car without anybody listening to you. And I love the tip that Anne-Marie asked, because I was going to add that too. The best thing to do is get out your phone and record yourself. Again, like she said, you won't like it when you first hear it, but go back and see what it is you don't like, if anything, and fix it, and just keep practicing. Now I'd like to do the same thing in English. English is so much harder to sing because of all the variations of the vowels. My one example, and I know many of you have heard this before, what we don't want to sing is an Americanized vowel. I'm going back to English. You want to make sure that your vowels are pure and complete. So when you're singing, for instance, doxa patri, you want to make sure it does not come out dogs up a tree. And unfortunately, I've heard mostly chanters, unfortunately, who do that. So make sure that you're singing a vowel all the way to the end. Let's talk about in English. Let's take that same hymn. Now, this hymn in English can be kind of tricky. Take that first word, save. Oh my goodness, how many vowels do we have on that very first sound? So if you have a director and they will decide exactly how they want the vowel, then you go that way. If you're on your own and you're just going to sing this as a vowel, just through the vowels, just sing it only the first vowel sound. Don't close it right now. Just sing the very first vowel sound. So it'll be like this. Whoops. Sounds ridiculous, but now you're singing the vowel. You can decide where your vowel is, how it ends, and add your consonant. So sing with me. Try it. Just the vowels in English. Save, O Lord, your people and bless your inheritance. Ready? And you'll notice that the vowels don't change very much and that now you've got a line. So now let's go back and add the consonants. Ready? Deep breath and save your Lord. Now, before we go on, I want to talk about that first word, save, and maybe the second word, oh. How are we going to sing that? Where are you going to change? Because in English, save has two sounds. So sing on the first vowel sound and save the second sound to just before the consonant. Here we go. Ready? And save, O Lord, your people and bless your inheritance. All right. So now that you've done that, go back and do it again. Sing the entire thing with just the vowels. Go back and add the consonants. Once you can do it with just the vowels, and then think of the consonants as just breaking that little bit, just breaking that column of air, your sound, you will be singing on the breath. You will have nice long phrases, and it's a really good way to wake everything up so that we can start singing again. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Evie. All right, next we have Stephen Caridoyanis, who is a conductor, both a choral conductor and an orchestral conductor in the Boston area, and he's also been a former director of various Greek Orthodox choirs. And his topic for us is use it or lose it.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for including me in this august group of individuals. So much of what I want to present to you has already been done. So I've got my timer set already. I work with so many union musicians anyway that I don't want to run over time. So the basis of use it or lose it. This presentation is the weekly rehearsal warm-up regimen I led at the start of every rehearsal of Boston's Masterworks Chorale for the 10 seasons I was their director. Because just like when we go to choir rehearsals at night, we've had a day long of either work or tending children or anything. And then when you get to this rehearsal where you need to be focused to the task at hand of delivering great music, you need to make sure that you are setting yourself up for success. And that means a healthful warm-up. And again, I'm going to repeat a lot of what was just said. My regimen, this is something I developed over the years, and it worked because I wanted to get us warmed up as quickly, healthfully, and efficiently as possible so we can get to all the notes that we had to learn and sing following the warm-up. So this warm-up is in 4 parts. Part 1, begin your warm-up with minimal tension. Part 2, building up breath support capacity. Part 3, get your head voice working. And part 4, get your resonator working. So part 1, begin your warm-up with minimal tension. We always begin every rehearsal with a slow roll forward of the shoulders. And you roll them slowly. You make sure your arms are hanging loose and at your sides. Make sure your elbows aren't tense and hanging out sideways. So you just roll your shoulders forward slowly, and then you roll them back. And we do that for just a little bit. Now, this second exercise, remember, the idea is we're trying to make everything here relaxed and loose. This exercise I'm about to say, you have to do slowly. If you do it quickly, it causes problems. And that is to roll your head very slowly around, passing the 2 tension points that you have on either side. And you know where they are. If you let your head flop to one side, and gently tug your opposite arm down, you feel that stretch here. And you want to make sure that we get this carefully limbered up. So you pass through those 2 tension points, again, very slowly, and then go back the other way. And then we do that for a bit, and then again, roll shoulders forward slowly, and then roll them back. And then we take a few cleansing breaths. Now, we all know how to breathe. We do it all the time, but sometimes, again, because of society and all that, we think that, guys, right, when you breathe in, you're bringing all this stuff up. There's nothing up here to fill up with air. So your cleansing breaths should be inhaling slowly as if you're breathing through a straw. And the sensation is that you're filling your stomach with air. Now, that's not where the air goes, but that's where the diaphragm goes and displaces everything. So your sensation is that you're filling your stomach. So try a few cleansing breaths. Inhaling as if you're breathing through a straw, exhaling, and then all of that, again, the air, your reservoir feels like it's in your stomach. Part 2, building up breath support capacity. Now, earlier, I think it was Joanne, fantastic. The idea of breathing in on a 4 count and exhaling on a sibilant S sound. The only thing that I would add to that is to make sure as you inhale and exhale for each of these counts, whether they're 4, 8, 12, or we took our group to 16 ultimately, is that you make sure you fill up totally, and you, by the end of the count, you have exhaled all of it. So, and the other thing, and I just want to reiterate, this exercise, it is actually more difficult to inhale slowly. And that's where the development of the diaphragm comes in. Oh, I've already gone 5 minutes, but I'm gonna try to finish this up quickly. Yes, quiet, 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 quiet. There we are. So, so make sure you inhale totally and then exhale on the 4 count, and then let that grow from time to time, then 8, then 12, then 16. Part 3, getting your head voice working for you. I know many of us warm up from the bottom up. By the way, the reason why I conduct, you don't want to hear me sing. I know that, don't worry. You can do better, and I know you can. But the idea is to make sure you're warming up from the top down. The idea to keep tension from starting here is to bring down your head voice. So the idea is to do a nice long sigh from the very top of your range all the way down to the bottom. The top of the range, guys, you have that falsetto. Ladies, you have a falsetto too. We don't really talk about it, but that's that high squeaky part of your voice, right? So we start from there and we go all the way down to the vocal fry. And you try to minimize where the voice breaks between head voice and chest voice, etc. And that's the idea. I've been sitting here a long time. I'm a little dry and I've got my water here, but you get the idea. Then as we get a lot of this top down warming up, again, effortless. Whoever said earlier, Andriana, I know you said it, singing should never hurt. You should make sure that all of this is effortless, but you're building up all of the mechanics for yourself. And then as you do the sigh, then we start vocalizing very easily on the 5-note scale. And if it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, between 4 and 3 on the piano is the semitone, right? So that's where everybody always goes flat. So we always talk 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then So the idea is keeping the head voice engaged and getting all of this singing. Now the 4th part, resonators. We have to make sure that the sensation of singing never sounds, now this is counterintuitive, never feels like it's coming out of your mouth. Because if it is coming out of your mouth or the sensation is coming out of your neck or your throat, then you're not using your resonators. And this is where the quality of your tone comes from this part of the mask of the face. So it's important to get your tone working. And the 2 greatest tones for that, in fact, NG hum, feeling everything, try it if you like, and getting it there, right? And then, or but make sure is high, not in the throat. So NG works. And then, as someone said earlier about vowels, that closed vowels like oo and e really like it up here. Open vowels like ah and eh don't like it up here. And those are the ones that you have to work harder on. So, and it all stays up here. And you can now try, and you notice right away when you go to the ah, the placement wants to drop. That's where you have to work as you do your warm-ups. And So it all stays up here, not because there's no quality. Not only is there no quality, there is no projection. And the resonators also project your tone. So those are the, and then after that, you can start some of the more weightier singing, because we've been doing this now for 5, 6, or 7 minutes. And that's about how much time it usually takes me to warm up a chorus. So that's it from me. I hope that was helpful. Thanks, everybody. Be well.
Thank you, Stephen, for the whole warm-up put together. Next, we have a video from Marina Alexander, who is still, she's here, but she, we're running later than we thought, and Marina had to teach a class at City College in New York. So she's with us now, and she'll be here to answer. Hi, Marina. We'll still play your video.
Play the video.
Yes, and the title is, it's my fault, it's a typo. It's How to Breathe When Singing.
Can't hear the audio. Do we have audio?
Yeah, we're getting there. George is working on it.
We're working on it, Marina.
Okay, if you can't get it to work, I can do it live.
Easier.
What happened?
He's sharing.
Greetings. Yasas. I am Marina Alexander.
There's
and
the audio.
I'm to be part of today's webinar.
Are you
My job is to help you explore the mechanism of singing and breathing at the same time. When we breathe as we sing, that is a very...
Maybe it's better if she does it. Marina,
Yeah.
maybe it's better if you start it live.
Okay, I can do
Yeah,
that.
good.
I just did it with my chorus class.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay, so activate my audio, my video, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, start my video.
And we hear you fine.
Okay, here we go. Let me just make myself get a little space here. Okay, and I have to zoom out my camera, excuse me. Let's do that. Here we go. Okay, so hopefully if I zoom this up a little bit. Is that okay? You guys see me okay? I think we're not in focus. Here we are.
Marina, can you quickly remove your virtual background?
Maybe. I don't know if I know how to do that.
It's under Start Video, under your video camera.
Under my video camera.
With the little icon at the bottom.
Start video.
You click the little arrow to the side.
Which arrow?
Well, just go forward then. Just continue.
Yeah, it'll be okay, honestly.
It'll be all right.
I did it with the kids and this was fine. Okay, so when you breathe, I always ask everybody, where does the air go? Right? It goes to our lungs, right? And when I ask people, where are your lungs? They usually give me very interesting locations. They give it down here, they give it back here. No, your lungs are way up here, right? We have 2 lungs, one on each side, and your lungs are protected by your ribs. So my fingers are simulating my ribs, and we have 24 ribs, right? 12 on each side. When we breathe, this is where the air goes, way up here. So you can force air into your stomach, but for singing, you don't want to do that. You want to get the air all into your lungs. We can divide this section of our torso into 3 zones for the air. rib 1 through 4 is way up here, and that is not going to be possible for air because it is so dense with other material. But from rib number 5 through 9, and then 9 through 12, we have a middle zone and a lower zone that we can put air in, both in the front and the side and in your back. Okay, so what you can do is put your middle fingers together and place them on your front middle zone. And what we want to do is see if you can get air into this spot specifically. And if you do, as you breathe and the air comes in, just like a balloon, your chest will expand and your fingers will naturally separate because you're putting air there. So I'm going to come a little closer, and usually I recommend breathing in through like you're sipping through a straw, sort of on ooh. And then when I say out, breathing out on the letter F. Okay, and watch my fingers. Here we go. I'm going to breathe in. And out. So did you see those fingers separate? That was because my chest expanded because I put air into it. You can also check that you're getting air into your sides by doing the same exercise, and you'll feel the expansion in your side. And out. And most importantly, people tend to ignore the fact that they can put air into your back, right? That's a little harder to measure. What I ask you to do is to take your palms and put them on your back as high as you possibly can without feeling any discomfort. And to do the same exercise and to feel whether or not you're getting air into the back. So we would do this. And then out. And indeed, you can feel if the air is coming in there. If you do that exercise and you find that there is not any expansion, then please do the following. Bend over. Go like so, and do the exercise. I know I'm disappearing. Do the exercise bent over, because that will force air into your back, and then gradually stand more and more erect as you do the exercise, making sure that you feel the same amount of air until you can do it standing erectly again, so that you feel that the air is coming in. So the air goes in quite nicely. We fill up all these areas with air. We have a lot of air to work with. Then we have to, in some way, force the air out so that, again, we can make a sound. When we breathe normally, we don't think about that because the breath is controlled by the diaphragmatic muscle, which is a huge rubber band that is connected across your abdomen to your ribs down here and in the back. And it is an involuntary muscle. When you breathe in, it descends, pulls in the air, and when it's time to exhale, it ascends and pushes out the CO2. It is involuntary. You can't control it, but we can put pressure on it and therefore extend how it does the exhalation. In your torso, you have all these amazing muscles. In between the ribs themselves, there are intercostal muscles that, again, help you with the expansion and such of your air. We want to be able to force the air out, and we need to use your abdominal muscles for that. You have wonderful muscles here on the side, but most importantly, you have what is known as the rectus abdominis. The middle muscle here is the one that's going to help you force the air out. So my suggestion is put your hand right here, and if you could make believe that you have to save the life of somebody who is crossing the street and there's a big truck coming, right? The only way you can save them is for you to yell, "Hey!" And if you do it right, you'll feel that muscle move and you will get a nice full sound. That hey did not come from my throat. It came because the air came from underneath, from below and pass through my vocal folds here. So again, if I do that sound, hey, the difference between that and it coming from my vocal folds is this. Hey, I just did the sound from up top. Bad, bad, don't do that, okay? We want the sounds to come from down here. In terms of a way to start to connect with that, we can do very careful phonations. I like to use the initials H or hisses and such, so we can do this. How about I suggest to you, and just ignore my phone, sorry.
Yeah, Pam's on.
Okay.
These people.
Sorry, the outside world intrudes. We can do this. We can do, right? Going back and forth between that F and an SH, we can do. If you're doing that right, your muscle down here is totally engaged. That is one way to start to be able to feel which muscle that you need to use. You can take that to a more extended hiss. And see how much air you can sustain. And then finally, you would take it to some sort of spoken sound and then to a sung sound. So if I take it to a spoken sound, I can do this. I can do haze. I can do hey, 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 ha, 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 ha. And again, try to get a nice full sound. And then eventually, hey, 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 hey. Etc. Whatever warm-ups you like. And by the way, when it comes to warm-ups for me, I prefer to do them top down, starting in the middle of the range for singers, and then gradually going higher, and then gradually going lower. I just think that it's a little bit more user-friendly to the voice. So I hope that explains to you where the air goes, how we get it out, and indeed, some exercises that can help you to build your capacity to control and use your air efficiently and to do no damage to your vocal folds and such while you sing. And I hope you sing a lot. So thank you for inviting me to be part of today. Ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. And Vicky, thank you again for making me part of this.
You're welcome, Marina. Thank you for lots of good tips. And we're on our tip number 10 now. And Pam Kramer was not able to be here earlier, but she is here. And Pam has a video, but Pam, if we can't get the video, we may ask you to just talk through your 5 minutes. And Pam is going to now talk to us about how do you conduct a good rehearsal with Zoom so that the choir together on Zoom can practice all these tips that you've heard about today. Pam, go ahead. Or we'll do the video first. We'll try the video first. What? What? No, you don't have to worry. Here it is.
So, my name is Pamela Kramer, and I am the choir director at the Annunciation Greek Orthodox Cathedral in Houston, Texas. Today, I would like to show you how to use the Zoom application to host or participate in online video choir rehearsals. This will help your choir keep in touch and allow you to have choir rehearsals and sectionals. You can use audio or video or both. You are not creating a virtual concert. This is only to be able to have our choir rehearsals again. First, you have to download the Zoom application on your desktop or phone. The basic account is free but limited to 40 minutes. Otherwise, you pay a $15 monthly fee for the pro version, which goes longer. I usually just leave the room when the clock runs out and come back in, and participants just re-click and start the 40 minutes again. When you open the app for the first time, you need to click on sign up. You'll be asked to confirm your age, as anyone under 16 is not eligible. Enter your email account and sign in with Google or Facebook. The easiest way to schedule a meeting is to, ahead of time, is to go to the zoom.us website on your web browser. You may have to sign in. Click on My Account and go to the Meetings choice on the navigation bar on the left. Then click on the Schedule a Meeting in a blue square on the right. Fill in the topic of the meeting, which I usually call church choir rehearsal, and the date, time, and duration. You can also set up recurring meetings. The meeting ID will be generated automatically. You can set up your own passcode or use the one generated by Zoom. Important to mark that video is on for the host and participants in this screen. One of the nice things in Zoom is you can use breakout rooms for sectionals. If you scroll down the meeting window, you can pre-assign members with their emails, or you can assign them when you are actually running your meeting with the breakout rooms control on the bottom right. You must enable breakout rooms in the zoom.us window under Settings, Advanced, Basics. You only have to do this once. To invite participants to your meeting, you need to go to the Copy Invitation option on the far right, which will copy the information to the clipboard. Then you can go to your email account and select your participants and paste the information with Control-V to the email and invite your choir members. I recommend you create a group contact in Gmail or Outlook that you can use to add all the choir members in the To field. When they receive the email, they can either click on the link or join the meeting, which will ask for the meeting ID and password, which is listed in their email. When you are ready to start a meeting, you can go back to the meeting screen in zoom.us or log into the Zoom app, click on Meetings, and your meeting will show in the window and you can click on Start. By default, when you are running the meeting, your app may display the active speaker view. Click on the top right of the screen to display the gallery view after you have added your participants. If the meeting has 49 or fewer people, they can be displayed on a single page. Your limit is 100. To allow participants to join your meeting, you have the participants option on the control panel at the bottom of your screen. Move your cursor if this is not showing. You will see the waiting room on the right, which allows the host to control when a participant joins the meeting. As the meeting host, you can admit attendees one by one or hold all attendees in the waiting room and click on Admit All. When participants enter the meeting, they are muted by default. They will need to click on the mute button on the bottom left of the control panel or click on the space bar to toggle back and forth. Also be sure they have their video on, which is a button to the right of the mute button, which will say Start Video if it is not on. I have found it is better to have everyone muted except the host, and then if they have a question, they can unmute or use the chat button or raise their hand so the host can acknowledge them to speak. To rehearse, you have to have everyone muted except for the director or organist who will play the music or track to sing along with. The director can conduct or not as you choose. This seems to work. This should give you a good sharing point. This should give you a good starting point for setting up your rehearsals and communicating with your choir members to keep them singing during these difficult times until we can get back in our churches. Thank you for your time and enjoy your rehearsals.
Thank you, Pam. All right. That's the end of the 10 tips, and now we're ready to move into two parts. One is that for those of you
Vicki, you're muted. Vicki, you're muted.
Yeah,
Thank you. Okay, I'm okay now. Thanks. I'll start again. Well, thank you all to our 10 presenters. And now we'd like to move into the question and answer time for those of you who want to stay. We'll be here for you. I know we went over on the time we anticipated, but we had lots more information than we anticipated. Also, before you leave, if you would be so kind as to answer a couple of quick questions in the poll that we're going to send you, simply getting some feedback from you about this webinar. If you have a question, do you see the Q&A icon at the bottom? Just click on that and write in your question, and then Barbara will monitor them, and she'll either direct it to anybody in particular that you may want to hear from, or she'll leave it open to the entire panel. So go ahead and type in your questions now. You have to open. She's got 6.
Vicki, while we're waiting for people to maybe ask their questions, could you describe the workshop that we did last week and the availability for those who were not there to hear about it?
Sure. Last Friday, we did a COVID related workshop on reviewing what the research findings are now telling us about the issues that we're going to have to face as we return to church to sing or chant. And then we talked about, given those findings, here are some ideas now that people are beginning to think of as the ways to work around them, and the things that practical suggestions for what we'll have to do depending on your city, depending on your metropolitan, and depending on your local parishes when you're ready to return to church. And that's going to be available on our website, which is church music, all one word, churchmusic.goarch.org. And you can also see it even before we get to it. I did the same workshop at the Clergy Lady Congress on Wednesday. And if you go to the Go Arch page, the Archdiocesan website, and find the section where the Clergy Lady Congress is, you'll see a section of all the music ministry workshops that they did, and the one on church music can be found there. Pretty much essentially the same. The question part is a little bit different, but the information is essentially the same.
Okay, we do have some questions, and I think maybe a good suggestion would be for all of the panelists who are with us, if they would start their video and unmute. That way when I ask the question, whoever can answer it can jump in immediately and there won't be a delay. So if you can start your video and unmute panelists, here come the questions. Can you address strained voices for chanters who have been working overtime during the pandemic? What the chanters can do about their strained voices? Anyone?
I would say one of the, and feel free to anybody else to add to it, but it goes back to breath oftentimes. So if you're using a supported sound and making sure you're taking a nice low breath so you can float your sound, you try and sing from your throat or from your vocal cords, you'll be tired very quickly, and then puts a lot of strain. So that's definitely one thing that I would suggest. Just make sure it's just a really supported sound and not over singing, which I know is difficult. Sometimes you feel like you need to fill the space, but don't sing louder than you can sing beautifully and without strain on your voice.
And a good way to do that is with your microphone. Pull your microphone a little bit closer to you. And if you need hearing aids to hear yourself, then you better get your hearing aids. So, 'cause that can be a problem. But the microphone is a great thing to do. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
No, I'm good.
Another question is, for people with severe asthma, breath control is not what it used to be. Will these breathing exercises still work for me? Or do they need to be modified for people with asthma? Any of the breathing tips?
I was gonna say, I'm trying to let somebody else talk about it. I mean, it's about building strengthening it. So the more you do your breath exercises and really concentrate on them, doing them properly, you'll increase your breath capacity. And that's, let somebody else answer as well, but.
And I would agree with that. By the way, somebody turned off my video and I can't turn it on again. The idea being, I've had a few people in my chorus who have had breath issues and such. And they tell me that by doing the exercises we do at the chorus, it actually has helped them deal with their condition. And obviously you need to do it within the scope of what your physical tolerance is, right? But I do agree with Kristen that it can actually help a person along dealing with a condition like that.
Can I address that?
Please.
Sure can, Pam.
I've had asthma my whole life and been an opera singer. And what it is by the breathing that we do and the expansion that we do of our ribs and this deep breathing in your lungs actually helps your asthma. You may have to breathe more, but it's getting more oxygen in your blood with our singing. Singing is the best thing for asthma. It's actually a great therapy.
Great.
Okay, and this is somewhat related. What do you do to help with allergies and sinus responses from wearing the masks so much?
Take a break. Take a break from the mask. You got to walk outside and breathe some fresh air. I am contemplating by October maybe having some limited live rehearsals. I happen to have a large church that will give me use of their sanctuary. It seats 500 people. So if I put 20 sopranos in there at a time who are spatially distanced wearing masks, most likely we can do something live, but I will only work with them for about a half an hour at a time and then give them a short break so that they can go outside, take the mask off, breathe some regular air, put the mask back on, come in and do another 20 minutes and pace it that way. I think that's the only realistic way to do it.
And Marina, those exactly follow the recommendations that all the professional choral associations are calling for us. Large spaces, people distanced, outdoor rehearsals if you're in a nice warm climate. And then the rehearsal room is the real problem. Our normally small rehearsal rooms are very high risk. So you have to find another place in your parish that's large enough to distance. The distancing for singers is 8 to 12 feet even, if you can go that way. But that 30-minute time limit, and that's what I talked about in the other workshop we did, singing beyond 30 minutes at a time in a group is very high risk. And that's a problem for us for Orthodox services. And if you get a chance to watch the other webinar, I gave some ideas about essentially just think about sharing. You don't have to sing every single hymn. You could sing part, the chanters could sing part, and to try to keep under that around 30 minutes.
I heard a really interesting thing on NPR. It was a choir that the reporter was part of and was missing very much the ability to sing in church. And they came up with an interesting solution. They, and the whole congregation did this actually, they hummed. They hummed the hymns, which of course produces a whole lot less air. Everybody with masks. I can only imagine that would have given you goosebumps to hear that. Right? So
I would just add, because the question, I'm sorry, Chrysanthi, because the question related to like the sinuses and the drainage, I have to wear a mask all day at school, and then the cleaners in between, which I have to then breathe in. So I drink so much water. It's just constant, because that's really, I just have to try and flush it out because it's uncomfortable. You know, today I was really wishing I had gotten one of the like the little inserts to keep the mask away from your mouth. I may still do that just because it's between talking and limited singing, but trying to sing all day, it is definitely difficult. Sorry, Chrysanthi.
Are you guys aware that there are 2 masks that have been designed for singers? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's just, I have not done that yet, just for.
Okay. There's the Resonance Singer's Mask that's put forward by My Music Folders. It costs about $33, or you can get a 5% discount. And it is built, I have it right here.
Good.
Built out so that, I don't know if you can see, it's like a big box. I'm sorry, I've got this virtual thing going on. And it doesn't go around your ear, it goes around the back of your head so that it's more comfortable, but it doesn't touch your lips. And so a lot of groups have ordered this. I spoke to the manufacturers a couple of days ago, and they've already gotten almost 20,000 orders for these.
Marina, there's even another one that actually a chanter told us about that may be the solution for us. It's the frame that Kirsten was talking about. It's a frame that you put around your mouth, and so it sticks out, and then all you do is wear a regular cloth mask over the top of it. She chants all her services with that, and she says it has saved her life. You can find it if you look up singers mask or mask frame. I don't have the website, and it's about $20. And I suggested that for a choir, it might be something that you approach your parish council to buy one of those for everyone. But so that comes highly recommended from this woman on the West Coast.
That's great to know. There's another mask that's called
Marina will email it to you.
Thank you. It's called the Broadway Singer's Mask, and it's a less expensive version of the resonance mask. It does have the frame built into it, and I think again it's only about $20. So that's another solution too. So if you research Broadway Singer's Mask, you'll find that.
So I said again in the other webinar that I think the singers all over the country and all different venues have finally come to grips that, you know, we've got to stop complaining and feeling like we're victimized by the COVID, and the solutions are starting to come forward. There's even a person is saying there's a new way. You have to buy some equipment that you can actually sing together on Zoom to some extent. It's still not perfected, but ideas are coming, and we're going to try, the National Forum is going to try to somehow find a place where we can begin to compile those ideas as people find out what to do. You know, what are you doing about the recommendation that maximum singing of 30 minutes is, you know, something we've got to grapple with? How are you handling that?
Okay.
Oh, good. Thank you, George. Here's the mask.
Oh, great.
And then you put a cloth mask over the top of it.
Oh, great.
And so it doesn't stick out. People aren't embarrassed that it looks funny. Like the resonance mask, people are sort of embarrassed about because you sort of look like it's a pig snout when you wear it, right, Marina?
It's not that bad. I mean, it's actually comfortable. The only thing I found with it is that it's hot. Because your breath is warm,
yes.
And because it contains the breath more completely, it gets to be warm. It's a little hot to wear, you know. But this is very interesting.
This one.
You just send us the link in the chat, okay?
Oh, good.
And actually, that $20 on this that George is showing, it looks like it says 10 pieces in the pack for $20. I could be mistaken.
Really?
I may have looked at that wrong.
Oh,
wow. But maybe so.
We wondered the same.
I felt bad. I cut you off. Chrysanthi, did you say what you wanted to say?
I just wanted to suggest that if you have allergies or sinus issues, and especially if you are wearing masks, just to make sure that as far as your health goes, to make sure that you're looking at your diet, making sure that you're hydrated, like Dr. Nick had suggested, and also just to make sure that you're not putting any allergens into your body that you might be reacting to. So perhaps if you're going to sing or chant, that you wouldn't drink, you'd refrain from dairy or anything else that might upset the balance, and just to really look at your overall health. And in that way, that if you do have something that you're breathing in more, at least your body will be in a healthier state to.
Okay, thank you. And then going back to the Zoom, it says, thanks for the technical info on how to set up Zoom rehearsals and meetings, but what happens afterwards? I understand Zoom is not good for having people sing all together. So how would you rehearse the group together?
Pam's on.
And I think, did she?
She's on.
She's
on
gone,
mute.
but she's coming back.
She is, yeah.
Part of that, if you like.
She's on.
She's on? Okay.
Was
there she is.
She might have to hear the
Did
question
you hear the
again,
question,
Barbara.
Pam?
No.
They're thanking you for the information about the Zoom rehearsal, but they want to know what happens afterwards. How do you actually rehearse as a group?
You actually cannot rehearse as a group on Zoom yet. I know they're working on it, but they haven't done it yet because of the different coordination between each. Only one speaker can speak at a time. So what you have to do is mute everybody, and then they follow either the organ or someone else singing, but you can't actually sing together. So you're singing, but you can't hear the other voices. And there's just nothing else that we can do at the moment. And what they actually do when they do concerts virtually is they have you sing to a track with an earphone, and then you sing your part, and then they take all the voices and put them together, and then they play that. So that's how that actually works, which is awful to just record just your voice by itself. It's so exposed.
I'm doing a virtual choir right now with my my secular ensembles, and you're right. They do feel exposed. In order to assuage them, I had to sing all the parts myself.
Oh, I know. I know.
And that included the tenor and bass part.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But it did help them to hear another voice as they were doing it, and so that was worthwhile.
But it certainly shows mistakes.
Yeah.
Which goes back to what Anne Marie said about it's good to practice listening to your voice as you record it.
It actually empowers the singers. Initially, it's a shock and it's really hard and discouraging.
Of course.
And when I first did the first virtual project, half the choir didn't participate. Now down the line, more people are participating. They're embracing the process. They're calling me on the phone saying, hey, I didn't get feedback on that last track, and they start singing to me over the phone, which was amusing. People that would be very reticent to sing alone. And I think that once you get past that and embrace the technology and we make it a non-threatening experience, it can be very positive. So that's been my experience with it. But it does take TLC to get them to go forward. And once you get past that, there's just a lot of potential there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It can be done. It just takes time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And the rest of the questions at this point have to do with a kind of resource. One is, can they get printed directions to what Pam gave all of the steps for setting up a Zoom rehearsal? Can that be made available?
Yes. Yeah. I'll make it similar to what I had on there, but I'm going to make it more detailed for you.
Okay, great. And that will probably be put on either the website, Vicki, or
yes, I think we'll work on
That will be fine. Yeah.
Okay. And then okay, and about today's workshop and last week's workshop. There are questions about that. Somebody's asking about the one that you did for the clergy laity, and they're not finding it there. I believe that you had to have been registered for that. You had to have been, you know, you had to have seen it to get the notice for that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But can you give again, okay, two things is this today's will be posted on our website, right? On the National Forum website. And can you give again how they can go to get that? Because they're asking how they can get last Friday.
You're going to have to give us about a week or so. We're not going to be able to turn it right around, but there will be some indication on our homepage with a link to where you go, but we will post both of them on the National Forum website, which is www.churchmusic, all one word, .goarch.org. Is that right, George? Did I say that right? Now I'm second guessing myself. I think so. You can also just in the search box write National Forum Church Musicians and you'll find us.
Yeah, Vicki, it is. It's church music, all one word, .goarch.org.